Good Sunday evening, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well out there today and have had a good Sunday so far and continue to have a good Sunday as we work our way into the evening. Obviously, it's Super Bowl today, so there'll be many of us out there that spend time with friends and family to watch that, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll just be at home. I need some time to relax. I went to a concert in Atlanta the other day on Friday, and it was awesome, but it was a late night, so I need some recovery time. But I'm here to get this video out because we've had some changes since yesterday that don't necessarily mean anything too crazy for some people, but it does change the way that this system will work for some with the latest trends. So we're going to go over all of that as well as dive a little bit into what the pattern will be like. And yeah, that's how we're going to round it off. So like this video if you like it, subscribe if you've not done so already, and please leave a comment down below where you are watching from. I'd be greatly appreciated. As normal, we start this out with a broad look at the satellite. You can see a lot of snowpack up in areas of the north in general, even in areas of Virginia here. There's notable snow on the ground here. Otherwise, as normal, I'm going to overlay the jet stream a little bit so we can see what continues to be a very stubborn low pressure just out off the coast of the northeast, sticking around, bringing cooler than average temperatures, as well as it brought that clipper in. So I hope you guys enjoyed that snow. Otherwise, we are starting to see our ridge build in. We can see kind of this slight arching to these geopotential height contours out here. We do have some sort of wave rolling through the central areas of the country here. And out ahead of that, could get some clouds going, but other than that, nothing really is expected. And this is reflected by the surface pattern when it comes to the satellite. The radar. We have not a lot going on. This stuff up in the northwest is somewhat typical this time of year to get these. I'll zoom in a little bit closer. You can see, obviously, the higher elevations remain snow. We expect that, and just a river of moisture making its way from the Pacific onto land. Otherwise, yeah, you can see some moisture maybe out ahead of that wave that's diving through the central areas of the country, but nothing worth noting here. Watches, warnings, and advisories look like this. We'll start west and move east. These are all wind related out here. We do have some winter weather advisories in the higher elevations, uh, mainly just of the northern Rockies, maybe areas of the Cascades. And then there's sporadic other warnings out here, but we also have an uptick in fire-related advisories and warnings here in the central areas of the U.S. as it is very dry and quite windy in some of these areas. Moving east a little bit, in most of Georgia, we have fire weather-related things because it is so dry, as well as winter weather advisories, cold weather advisories up here in the northeast. Other than that, pretty calm. So we're going to move into our model guidance. We got the Euro GFS and Canadian, as well as the AI suites of a few of those. So we're going to start all of this off the 13th. It is the 8th as of the time I make this. So it's a few days out ahead of us, not a little bit less than a week. We start this off here, and you can see how we have moisture kind of bubbling up in areas of the deep south. But remember how yesterday I mentioned that there could be some sort of on the 13th, maybe we have some sort of snow set up in areas of the upper deep south, maybe the lower mid Atlantic. Well, it's very light on the last couple of runs, so it's kind of downtrended with that moisture, but it really just kind of gears up and does a one-time thing. You can see as we're getting into the 14th, there's something trying to get going back here in areas of the deep south, and that kind of explodes in intensity. We've gone back to this possibly being a severe weather event. It's crazy the flips that we've seen here, but this is getting into the evening of the 14th, this coming Sunday, about a week from now. This coming Saturday, I should say. And we're getting into the early morning hours on Sunday here. This would be 7 a.m. 1 week from now. We have some sort of complex storm system here. We have a low pressure at the surface centered over areas of the southern Appalachians and far eastern areas of the Cumberland Plateau. But you can see areas of this darker red to the south of it. That would lead me to believe could be severe weather involved. We won't dive much into that until we get a more solid look at this. For example, this was the last run, so it had something. It was a little bit deeper. But yeah, it we don't have a ton of consistency yet, but this is the latest, and we'll go over the latest. And I mean, the moisture to the north, you might be thinking, well, where's the snow at? Well, I'll do a little drawing here. Do you see this blue line? There's dotted blue and red lines. That one there, it says 540 on it. That's 540 decameters above ground level. That would be 5.4 kilometers. That's a reasonably high distance up in the atmosphere, but that is essentially the freezing line aloft. That's the thickness of the atmosphere. It's very hard to explain that, but just think of it as areas to the north typically would be snow. Not always. Obviously, you can see areas over the ocean, it's rain, because thermodynamics work differently out over the ocean, at least as the atmosphere is stacked and the way that it works in that sense. But areas to the south of that line typically receive rain or some sort of mixed precipitation as opposed to just straight snow. But you can see freezing rain getting into areas of, say, Ohio, Virginia, and maybe into the Delmarva in general. So where does it go? This is this coming Sunday morning. Well, we do get snow start to happen in areas of Pennsylvania, and then it really gets going. Areas of Pennsylvania, New York, down maybe to Long Island, and then it kind of wraps around. So you have a big squall line well offshore. Very windy. That's a 983 low. So this would be blizzard conditions in some areas. If this happens, it's not a forecast though. But it's a big northeast snowstorm, kind of a nor'easter. It doesn't take the exact track, but the effects are similar. You can see areas of the just the far northeast, very, very heavy snow. It kind of rolls up there. So really, if you kind of back this up, it gets like all of New England and in the northeast with pretty heavy snow, as well as very windy conditions. So that's a big event for the north, but like for the south, just a rain or maybe severe weather thing. After that, there's some sort of energy rolls through, not anything crazy, but I mean, for example, I will note this that the 19th, not this coming Thursday, but the Thursday after that, we've got snow in areas of Virginia, a little bit further south, but still not too crazy. Rolls through, and then after that, you get some sort of moisture, another northeast snow, but not really anything crazy for the south. So yeah, that is the end of the run. How about the European AI model starting this off at the same time? We're not going to take a more zoomed in look because this site does not offer that. But you can see that that dark blue line, that kind of bolded blue line that kind of drops south, that is our freezing line. It's the 540 line. This is the 13th. So if there is moisture that hangs around for this time frame on the 13th, it could fall as something frozen in areas of, say, North Carolina and Virginia. Just keep an eye on that. Even though it doesn't show anything, I could see there being some light snow showers. That's not a forecast. I could just see it happen. But you see this area of moisture, and it starts rolling east. It's a pretty similar look as when it comes to where the low is. But do you see that there's some sort of freezing rain or sleet falling in the southern Appalachians? It's just a bit colder, but it quickly erodes what cold air damming there would be. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much that there is a high pressure base somewhere to the north that throws cold air down east of the Appalachian Mountains and traps it there so that you can get really cold, kind of a dreary day in those areas, and then other areas of the south stay warm. So that's why, for example, you see a little pocket of something falling frozen in there. That's what that is. But it erodes that cold air damming, switches to rain. Notice how much further south the low is tracking here on the Euro AI. It's through, say, Atlanta as opposed to Knoxville. So that is important where that low tracks. But afterwards, it kind of curls around, but it doesn't go north. So this is not a northeast snow thing. And so there's nothing else to say about that. Afterwards, getting into the 18th, there's something in the far northern areas of the country. So it goes almost just east to west and does not go north at all. I don't know if I buy that or not, but it is a solution. So yeah, here we go. We move on to the GFS and the GFS AI. Start off with the normal GFS from this morning. Actually, no, this is this afternoon's run. We're almost done with it. So the GFS is a little bit more aggressive with this initial energy. This is starting off this coming Friday, the 13th. Who knows if that's going to mean anything. But we have some snow. It's a little bit more aggressive with the moisture, but areas further to the east, and say North Carolina, Virginia, just light stuff. It's just too warm for that. It reloads. And so we get into Sunday. Here's Sunday morning. We'll do the same frame. 1 week from this morning. We have moisture, and you can see that 540 line is relatively far north. So I wouldn't really wonder if the deep south would be snow or anything because it's so far north. But you can see how far south that low is. That's nearly at the Gulf Coast. This was the run before. Big snow event for the Appalachians and points east. There's the run before that. So the GFS is literally all over the place. So that's why I'm not going to put too much thought into this until it starts to lock in a little bit more. But there's a transfer of energy from a coastal or a surface low to a coastal low, and it goes out over the ocean. So it's kind of similar to the Euro AI in the sense that it doesn't go to the northeast. But you get some sort of event after that on the 18th. And there's more stuff. There's a huge system out in the north central areas of the country getting out. I mean, this is 12 days from now. So it's not a ridiculous range, but it's not a reliable one either. And I wouldn't even want to dissect this. It's so large, but we'll see if that happens. I'm not worried about that happening. And then we get to the end, and it looks like that. So the AIGFS, here we go. There's that 540 line. Again, if there is moisture in North Carolina and Virginia, it could fall as something frozen. It would not surprise me one bit. We get into the 14th throughout the day. We have a surface low developing along the Red River, and we have moisture a little bit further to the north, kind of displaced from the low. But it fills in, really gets going. But you see where that low is. It's in southern areas of Missouri, not in northern areas of Arkansas. Now, that's not a huge change, but it ends up mattering quite a bit, as that low just tracks up the Ohio River as opposed to through the Cumberland Plateau. And yeah, so we have a big severe weather event. You notice how far north that 540 line is, that bold blue line is up in the northeast. There's not, based on this, there's not a chance of snow, not even a 1% chance of snow for the deep south. It's way too warm. And this would be like some sort of severe weather event. This is not a forecast, though. It's not final. That's a pretty strong low, sub 1,000 millibar low. And then it gets some sporadic snow into the northeast and gets going a little bit more as we get into the 16th and the 17th, maybe even the 18th. It hangs around a little bit. But after that, nothing. So there's the AIGFS. Then we look at the Canadian. This is the last one we're going to look at for this. We start this off, and yeah, so it blossoms moisture on the 13th a little bit further south and say the northern half or so of all the deep south states. The deep southeast states, I should say. There is some very sporadic snow in the higher elevations, but it does not snow. It's mostly rain based on this. Well, then you see it. Notice that there's snow out in the Front Range of Colorado. I could see that happening if temperatures line up. But we get into late evening on the 14th, late this Friday, late this Saturday, I should say. See a low down there. It's in a different place. All these are slightly different, but this is more intense with the moisture. You can see that this would be more of a severe weather event. And it kind of, you see how I'll dissect it like this. You see the low over southern Illinois, 995 low, and there's some snow north of that. There's also snow along the Appalachian Mountains with the cold air damming. You also see an area of heavier rain along the Gulf coastline. Well, it's because it transfers energy. There's a wedge of snow on the favored cold air damming regions of Virginia, West Virginia. But you can see how suddenly we have a low pop over the central areas of South Carolina, say near between Columbia and Charlotte, not a forecast. It's a transfer. You see that? It goes from Illinois to South Carolina. So it transfers the energy over, but it does not affect moisture a whole lot. And you get some weird looking snow up for the northeast, but it doesn't really do anything crazy. With that being said, the European from this morning was the only run that really did anything too wild for the northeast. This brought some snow, but this is lighter stuff. After that, that's the last frame we have. So the Canadian also hints at something kind of large up in the northern areas of the country getting out near or past 10 days. We could see it, but again, kind of getting into that unreliable time frame. But it does show something. So the way we do snowfall for events like this, where nothing is definitive, we look at ensembles. So if I kind of move this around a little bit, do you see how, number one, these areas have remained the same if not dropped off? Because Most models agree, at least as of now, that when this low forms somewhere in here, there's no snow with it. It would just be a big rain bomb. So it does not possibly snow until it gets over here, and you can see that reflected. There's not a high mean here. It's increased from the last couple of days, but you really see the higher mean show up along the Appalachians, getting up into the northeast. So this is through the 18th. Let me back this up a little bit. Yeah, there is a 1 to as much as 3.5 inch mean along the Appalachians, maybe even points east to say Richmond, Virginia, at the farthest east. Maybe over to, I mean, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, you have the higher mean. There is a mean here, even as far south as the Greenville-Spartanburg area. Maybe, I mean, even technically Columbia. This is a tenth or less. Yeah, this is 300ths. But it gets something. It's very, very light. This is kind of hinting at that cold air damming stuff. But the Northeast is still a highlighted area, as you typically are this time of year. So, not a whole lot to dissect with that, but you can kind of see the areas of the Appalachian Mountains kind of starting to pop a little bit more on these maps. So, the National Blend of Models drops off even less, or drops off more. It snows even less based on the National Blend of Models, in areas of the central tier of the country points west of the Mississippi River. I mean, there's something. But Oklahoma is not really. Kansas points north. You have a few to several tenths. Excuse me. So you move into the areas of the east. Now look at Virginia, for example. West central areas of Virginia have as much as a 7-inch mean show up. So this is a blend. This is an ensemble, and it's going to combine those dry scenarios, and it still gives you that much. So this would tell me, if we just do kind of some basic stuff here, the National Blend of Models kind of assumes the low will be down here, where we have a kind of wedge of snow, if you will, surrounded by a big rain bomb. Because again, the southern Appalachians, along the Appalachians, is where that cold air damming can set up. So yes, you have a decent mean even over to the Delmarva, even over to say Greenville, North Carolina, but it really only highlights the western areas of North Carolina and Virginia. And then obviously areas to the south. I mean, Texas, other than the far northern areas, don't even have half an inch. And even up there, you don't. So not a good look for areas of the far southern tier of the country through the rest of, or the next several weeks. I'll just put it at that. So with that being said, we're going to move into our pattern a little bit. So I'm going to start this off the morning of the 13th like I did everything else. You're looking at the Euro Ensemble. This makes up 51 members, if I forgot to mention that already. So it's very reliable. And what you're looking at on your screen here is the anomaly, so above or below average, of pressures in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, about 3 or 4 miles above your head. Where you see this red, that would be warmer air. Just think about it as warmer air and a ridge, because it literally looks like it. And then you can see this blue, this thing right here, for example, that is a trough. They dig down to the south. So if you see these, that's cooler air. There's some sort of energy associated with it. It's a storm system. Think about it like that. We've had an interesting development on the Euro Ensemble since the last time I looked at it. I don't look at every single run, but the last time I really went into the Euro Ensemble was this run, and it looks interesting. So we get into the 13th. The 14th. Do you see how that area, this is way different, guys, than like yesterday's video. There is a shortwave, a little storm system when compared to the broad scale. Obviously, this spans many states. It's not small, but in comparison to the U.S., it's pretty small. It's called shortwave trough. There's a shortwave rolling through. Is the storm system itself. You can see our time frame lines up, getting into the afternoon of the 14th and into the 15th. I mean, look at it. This is Sunday morning. This is when we were looking before at the moisture. I'm going to be a nerd for a minute. I'm going to zoom in and look at this a little closer. From a severe weather perspective, that's what I learned when I was younger. That's what I studied most. I mean, I like winter weather, but winter weather is not my strong suit, nor is it the thing I care the most about. Severe weather's my thing. I storm chase and all that stuff. So we can see this trough digs like this. The farthest south point of all the lines lines up to make a bar that goes exactly vertical. So it's digging due south. And that means it is neutrally tilted. If this line pointed like that, it would be positive. If it pointed like this, it would be negative. The stronger storm systems are the negative tilted ones. You can get anything to happen with any of the tilts. Keep that in mind. But this is neutrally tilted as of this coming Sunday morning, about a week from now. So you would look from this area, you would look out ahead of it, say in there, for something to happen. The reason for that, I know I'm being a nerd. The reason for that, you can see these black lines. That one goes like that. This one goes like that. Do you see how they spread apart a little bit? This is a Euro ensemble run. You're not going to see any crazy values on this. But this is called divergence. Now, the 500 millibar layer, the mid-levels, is considered the layer of non-divergence because, and I'm thinking in severe weather terms here, but we could be looking at it. If you have a storm setup, you need convergence at the surface. That's wind coming together. That's what a front does, and that's why fronts are so often associated with severe weather. Or weather in general, it's a convergence. The wind pushes together at the surface and then goes up because obviously it can't go into the ground. And then up at the 300 millibar layer, I think we have that. You need divergence to happen. So if you look at this, for example, this is the 200 millibar wind. You can see our low. That is the surface low. That's where it tracks based on the Euro ensemble. You can see these barbs go like this here and like this here. There's divergence over some of these areas. So you want to look at the surface for convergence, the upper levels for divergence or defluence. They're different things, but they do similar things in that they create a void in the upper levels. You want to create a void. You want to create a vacuum in the upper levels so that it literally pulls air up from the surface to initiate storms. That's what severe weather works like. And you need convergence at the surface to get that air started on its upward journey. My reason for saying that is that as of right now, this frame here somewhat concerns me for severe weather because you would look ahead of the axis, downstream of the axis for severe weather to happen. That is a broad area here. Now, for example, I'm trying not to go too in depth here, but I'm telling you guys, this is just my passion. Now, you've heard me say all that, and yet the temperatures look like this. So we go back a few frames. Very, very marginal temperatures here, except for maybe the day before. So you might be thinking, well, why'd you say all that then? Well, if this changes at all, we're looking at severe weather. Now, for example, I'm going to use the European. Do you see how it's a little different? It's ever so slightly different. You see how there's I'll use this frame here, even though it's a little bit earlier. It shows it well. Do you see how it looks like this, kind of crest, and then it goes like this? That's called a warm sector. That would tell me the low is up here, and to the south of that low in some sort of triangle shape, there is a warm sector. There's temperatures as much as 70 degrees in areas of Mississippi and Alabama. So the day before would be supportive of severe weather. Now, where does it go after this? Well, you can see that triangle kind of sticks around. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is the operational Euro. But we're getting into Sunday morning, and areas of the deep south stay in the 60s. That's enough. Now, I don't know if we have dew points. We do not, as far as I know. Oh, we do. It's over here. So our dew points, we do have a surface pattern. That's cool. So, yeah, we got as much as 60s dew points in some of these areas. That will get the job done. So I'm going to do it now. I'm going to kind of honk the horn at a severe weather event, and if I had to circle anywhere, number one, I'm going to go back to this. So I'm getting off topic, I know. Do you see how this on the operational Euro digs even further south and it's stronger looking? But anyway, if I had to draw something right now, days in advance. This is going to have multiple days to it. I would look for on Saturday, this coming Saturday, somewhere down here. That's a very big area, I know. And then for Sunday, I'm going to draw this kind of weird. I would look for this area. Why not say northern Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi? Well, because the geometry changes a little bit of this trough, and we have cold air damming in place up here. That might keep our temperatures in, say, upstate South Carolina, where I live, in the 40s, when it's in the 60s down in Atlanta. I mean, that kind of thing can happen. And it's obviously the difference between severe weather. I'm going to get back on topic, but I'm telling you guys, if this kind of thing unfolds like this, you would be looking at some sort of severe weather event. Nothing about this screams crazy or, dangerous, for example, but I see this and I think that it looks like a severe weather setup. That's what I think as of right now. But to briefly go over temperatures here, you can see as we're on the 13th, we kind of shape these below average temperatures. We get into the 15th, and you see that area right there. This is the afternoon of the 15th, this coming Sunday. It highlights our cold air damming region well. That's a terrible color, I know. Right here, you can see it below average temperatures. But do you notice areas to the south remain above? I'm telling you guys, there could be a severe weather event. Not to say there's not snow to the north, but I think that we could have a very dynamic system to the point where we have both types of weather to cover. After this, what do we do with this? I need to get this back in motion here. Broad cool down, and then like another warm up, shifts to the south. We get out to the end of the run here, and we have widespread cooler than average temperatures as we get into the last week of the month. So that could be another time frame to watch. Nothing about it screams crazy right now, but I'll keep my eyes on it. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I know I did a whole lot of yapping there for a few minutes, but I love the weather. That's why I'm doing this, and I can't help but let my passion get into it a little bit. So if you appreciate that, like this video and subscribe to this channel. But other than that, I'll have a video out tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. We got a lot to figure out with this system. We're not done with tracking it yet, so stay tuned. I will see you guys in the next one.